Have you ever wondered what it feels like to sit inside a machine designed not just to fly, but to terrify? What it means when the sound of roaring jet engines shakes the earth beneath your feet, and the sky splits open with fire. Today, we take you deep inside the untold story of two Soviet legends, the Su-7 and its brutal successor, the Su-25. These were not ordinary fighter jets. They were weapons of intimidation, machines of steel forged in the shadow of the Cold War, and symbols of Soviet engineering that changed aerial warfare forever. Let's begin with the Su-7, the first supersonic jet fighter built by the Sukhoi Design Bureau in the late 1950s. At first glance, it looked like a sleek silver spear cutting through the sky. But what made the Su-7 so remarkable was its raw power. It wasn't about elegance. It was about speed, strength, and survival. The Su-7 could reach Mach 2 speeds, twice the speed of sound, at a time when most jets still struggled to even approach such velocity. Imagine the thunderous shockwave exploding across the sky as this Soviet beast broke the sound barrier. To pilots, it wasn't just flying, it was riding a missile. But here's the twist most people don't know. The Su-7 was a nightmare to operate. Its takeoff and landing required long runways, its fuel consumption was extreme, and its weapons load was limited. Many Soviet pilots nicknamed it the Flying Sledgehammer. It was powerful, yes, but unforgiving. One mistake, and the Su-7 would not forgive you. Now imagine the Cold War battlefield. Across the Iron Curtain, NATO was building advanced jets like the F-104 Starfighter and Mirage 3. The Soviet Union needed something terrifying to counterbalance Western air power. That's where the Su-7 came in, not as a perfect jet, but as a statement. It was fast, it was tough, and it showed the world that the USSR could compete in the supersonic age. Fast forward to the 1970s, and the Soviets realized something critical. Raw speed was not enough. What they needed was a jet designed not for air superiority, but for survival in the deadliest environment imaginable, close air support on the battlefield. Enter the Su-25 Frogfoot. This was no sleek supersonic dart. This was an armored beast, a flying tank, a war machine built to fly low and deliver destruction directly where soldiers needed it most. The Su-25 could withstand massive damage and still return home. Its cockpit was wrapped in a titanium bathtub to protect the pilot. Its wings were designed to carry an enormous payload of bombs, rockets, and missiles. If the Su-7 was a spear, the Su-25 was a hammer, and it hit hard. Picture this. Su-25 swooping down at treetop level, unleashing rocket barrages on tank columns, dodging anti-aircraft fire, and pulling back into the sky with trails of fire behind them. For ground troops, the sound of the Frogfoot's engines meant salvation or doom. The armament of the Su-7 was fairly straightforward, featuring cannons and the ability to carry a wide variety of unguided bombs and rockets. While effective for ground attack missions, it lacked the sophistication of later targeting systems. The Su-25, however, integrated more advanced targeting pods and eventually adapted to carry precision-guided munitions, reflecting the technological advances of its era. Its ability to mount laser-guided missiles and anti-tank weapons made it especially feared on the battlefield. Modernized variants of the Su-25 continue to serve in several air forces around the world, often upgraded with new avionics and digital systems that extend their operational relevance. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Su-25 is its adaptability. While the Su-7 faded from frontline service by the 1980s, the Su-25 has been continuously upgraded and deployed in conflicts as recent as the 2020s. This longevity underscores the effectiveness of its design, proving that raw survivability and mission effectiveness often outweigh sheer speed or technological flashiness. Nations such as Russia, Georgia, and several African states have used the Su-25 extensively, finding it invaluable for its cost-effectiveness and battlefield reliability. Unlike stealth aircraft or cutting-edge fighters that demand enormous maintenance and logistical support, the Su-25 can be operated in austere environments, making it a practical tool for prolonged conflicts. Beyond combat performance, both aircraft also carry cultural and historical significance. The Su-7 symbolized the Soviet Union's push into supersonic jet technology and its determination to match Western advancements during the height of the Cold War. The Su-25, on the other hand, became a symbol of Soviet and later Russian resilience, often deployed in some of the most difficult and protracted wars of the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Together, they illustrate the Soviet capacity to innovate under different strategic pressures, whether racing for technological parity with NATO or responding to the gritty realities of asymmetric warfare. The Su-25, which entered service later, represented a completely different concept within the Sukhoi Design Bureau. Known as the Frogfoot in NATO terminology, it was conceived as a close air support aircraft to provide direct assistance to ground forces. Where the Su-7 emphasized speed and penetration, the Su-25 focused on survivability, precision, and the ability to loiter over the battlefield for extended periods. Its airframe was heavily armored, with a cockpit designed to withstand direct hits from heavy machine gun fire and even some forms of anti-aircraft artillery. One of the most shocking stories about the Su-25 comes from the Soviet-Afghan War in the 1980s. These jets were thrown into one of the harshest combat environments in the world, mountain ranges filled with guerrilla fighters armed with American-supplied Stinger missiles. Su-25 pilots flew dangerously low, often just meters above the valleys, dodging missile fire while delivering devastating attacks. And yet, despite taking direct hits, many Su-25s returned to base riddled with bullet holes, engines burning, wings torn apart, but still alive. Pilots swore by its toughness. Some even called it the flying tank that refuses to die. The Su-25's legacy doesn't end there. Unlike the Su-7, which was eventually retired, the Su-25 continues to serve in multiple air forces around the world even today. From Africa to the Middle East, it remains one of the most trusted ground attack aircraft in history. Now here's something that will shock you. In many ways, the Su-25 was the Soviet answer to the American A-10 Thunderbolt II, the famous Warthog. Both jets were designed for one purpose, close air support, and both became legends. But while the A-10 became iconic in the West, the Su-25 carved its name into history through raw, brutal combat. So why should we remember these jets today? Because they represent two extremes of Soviet aviation. The Su-7, a fast but unforgiving supersonic spear. The Su-25, a tough, resilient hammer that refuses to die. Together, they tell the story of Soviet military strategy. Fast enough to challenge the West, tough enough to survive any battlefield. But here's the ultimate question. If you were a pilot in the Cold War, would you choose the lightning speed of the Su-7 or the indestructible armor of the Su-25? Speed versus strength. Supersonic power versus battlefield survival. Which one would you trust with your life? Think about it. And if you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and smash the like button to support more epic aviation documentaries. Want to dive deeper into the hidden world of legendary fighter jets? Check out the full video linked in the description below. And don't miss our next episode, where we uncover the mind-blowing secrets of another Cold War giant. You won't believe what we discovered. Stay curious. Stay amazed. This is the world of aviation like you've never seen before.